Hello again, fellow adventurers. And yes, I'm still indoors. The wind is howling outside. It's horrible. So I get to be in here. I've been given the room, but you will hear noises and carols singing and yelling and shouting most likely. We are on our journey into reality, and I will keep repeating this until I don't know when I'll stop. Pressing into God is not running from reality, it is engaging with reality. God is the ultimate reality. He's the one who spoke this whole affair into being, and He is the one who took the responsibility to rescue us from our own stupidity, our own sinfulness. And so we are not about papering over the cracks of reality. We're not about pretending things are one thing when they're really something else. We are actually about seeing the world as it really is. And that means we need to see a multi-dimensional world that includes God, which includes light and darkness and a spiritual dynamic. Angels are real. There really are dark forces. The Bible is emphatic about that. Let's not pretend they're not. Let's get the right world view. And all of this is in the Advent story. And today we're looking at something quite curious. We spoke the other day about how Herod threw all his toys out the pram, this megalomaniac, murderous, hideous person who had surrendered fully to darkness. And he went after the children. And of course, we looked at the tragic prophecy in Jeremiah 31, how Rachel was weeping for her children. But God moved and He was able to rescue Jesus. How did God do that? And why Egypt? What is going on here? Well, I'm just going to read it to you. I've got it on the screen here. Matthew chapter 2, verse 13. After the wise men were gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. So Joseph's getting used to this now. You know, this has happened once before. Get up. Flee to Egypt with the child and his mother, the angel said. Stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to search for the child to kill him. Now, Satan knew something was up. Herod was the devil's glove puppet, and he wanted Jesus out the way. So that night, Joseph leaves to Egypt with Jesus and with Mary, and they stay there until Herod's death. And this is really interesting. This is to fulfill what the Lord spoke through the prophet. I've called my son out of Egypt. Hosea chapter 2, verse 15. And that's a much deeper conversation there. But what's the Egypt thing about? Why is that in there? Jesus has come to fulfill Israel. And if you look at Jesus's life, you see Him reflecting Israel's journey. And so His baptism, that's them passing through the sea. He spends 40 days in the desert. Israel spent 40 years in the desert. He didn't sin. He was just identifying with them fully. And of course, they spent 400 years in Egypt, right at the conception of them as a nation. You know, that they grew up in Egypt, and then they were oppressed. Well, Jesus, fleeing oppression, fleeing murder, actually goes into Egypt, because that's how they ended up there. They escaped. They were escaping the famine right back in the early days, and then Egypt turned against them. So Jesus goes into Egypt and then is brought out by God, and in exactly the same way as Israel was brought out. Why is this? Because Israel is fulfilled in Jesus. We don't need a piece of territory marked out for us anymore, because we have Jesus. We don't need a temple, because we have Jesus. We don't need a sacrificial system, because we have Jesus. We don't need a high priest, because we have Jesus. We don't need a go-between between us and God, because we have Jesus. It's Him, it's Him, it's Him, it's Him. Why did He choose 12 disciples? Why didn't He get 15 of mixed gender? Why did He not have men and women? Because He was reproducing. Everybody there knew what was going on. Oh my goodness, He's called 12 disciples. That's the 12 tribes. That's the 12 leaders of the tribes. Oh, that was clear as crystal in their minds. This is a takeover bid, and Jesus has come to take back his people, and he's come to take back his planet, come to defeat his enemies. That is what is going on here, and it's kicked off right here in the Advent story. And so the Jewish people reading this at the time would have gone, oh. For us, we have to dig a little bit deeper because it's not part of our upbringing. It's not part of our national heritage. But now that we are part of this holy nation where God has taken the Jew and the Gentile and he's brought them together as one, well, now it's our story too, because we too are the children of Abraham, because all of Abraham's true offspring are of faith and not the flesh. Wow. I love this stuff. I hope that is a help. You say, well, how does that affect me today, Mark? It's knowing where you come from. It's knowing the length that God went to evidence to us, to reveal to us what was going on. It leaves people who rail against him. It leaves people who say, no, there is no God. It leaves those Jews who have rebelled against God with nowhere to go. He has just put it there. It's just there. Our faith is not blind. Our faith isn't, oh, I know God's not real, but I'm going to believe anyway. Our faith is, whoa, I brought my son out of Egypt. Oh my goodness. Jesus even ended up going into Egypt when he was a child. Let me share this in closing. Some people will claim that the Gospels are fabricated, that people just drew bits together to make it look good. And I think that's a good challenge. I think to start with, that is fair. Let's see if there's evidence, because I don't believe the Quran. I don't think that's got any literary integrity whatsoever. I don't believe the Book of Mormon. I don't take them seriously, because as soon as you press in, it just all falls to pieces. But here's the thing. With the gospel narratives, you can throw them at the brightest minds on the planet, and it all holds together. It all holds water. And even the non-Christian scholars will go, yes, you need to take this really seriously. Whether you worship Jesus as God or not, well, that's up to you, they will say. But the integrity of the narrative is sound. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. Please remember to like, to share, subscribe, do whatever it is, whatever your platform demands of you. And don't forget, click the link, stick your name and your email address in, and then you will receive invites to our webinars and other cool stuff that we're doing. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.